Well, we don't have quite as many individual news items as we did yesterday with the trademark filings, but we do have a new video and a new article both for the Rebirth expansion, so it's worth doing a video on it. We'll check out the Titanosaurus trailer first. Probably the animal that I'm most interested in the DLC, I think. The tails give him a very distinctive vibe. Yeah, their social animation is based off the mating scene from the movie, if you want to call it that. The courtship display, I guess, is more appropriate. How'd they lay those eggs under that rock ledge? So that juvenile looks pretty good. Actually looks like a decent uh, rig, not like overly reused. We have issues sometimes with the proportions of the babies don't really echo the adults in a way that makes any sense. This one has the long whiptail, which makes it feel correct. So this must be the male here, right? With this more white on the face. And the female here. This shot specifically makes it look like the male is insanely taller than the female, but I think that's not true. I think that's a weird perspective or animation thing in this specific shot. Because it's there's not much evidence of that elsewhere. I mean, this really just makes it look like it's way taller. I don't know. Is it? Is it just bigger? I thought I saw somewhere that it was confirmed that there was not substantial size difference, but that looks really deceptive. But I mean, we've seen this before. This was a big thing with the Dilo when the Dilo was first revealed for JWE3. Um, it looked like there was substantial size dimorphism between the male and the female, which would have been really cool as a way to have a more paleo accurate Dilo size. But that was actually just completely an illusion based on the angle of the shot. This also gives almost a baby, teenager, adult vibe in this shot, which is definitely not what's going on here. I mean, yeah, this shot's doing it again because the one head is out of frame and the other one is in frame. But again, it's definitely not the case. They do have the little sail on their neck. So like this is almost certainly using the same rig as some other sauropod juveniles. It's just been maybe the animation's been edited to accommodate the tail, and then of course the model is different. Looks like the juveniles got their own version of the little social animation there. Yeah, here's a better shot of that male look with all that white on the face. It's a very nice pattern for a sauropod. The fins have never really done it for me, and I mean, the fact that this is essentially an entirely fictitious animal just called Titanosaurus, like, is also weird, but again, Titanosaurus is known from, like, one shoulder bone or something. So, technically, they could kind of do whatever they wanted with Titanosaurus. They just wanted to use the name. A very Jurassic Park thing to do, to say, like, we like this name, we're going to make an animal up to go with it, and here's something completely fictitious. A very, Dilo Velociraptor thing to do with, the first movie. Yeah, I like the nest where it's just like no physical possibility of them actually laying an egg there. That's very funny. So yeah, I can't. I think that's a female because the male feels more skull-like. If that makes sense, something different about the way the eye is. Hard to tell. Shot to shot. I mentioned it before in one of the videos, but I really do hope for these new animals that we use the film pattern and we just recolor the film pattern. Like if we had this gray as kind of the base color and then like the sail color and the striping colors as the like the pattern. I think that would be the best way to handle animals like this when they have a decent pattern to begin with, because I find it pretty disappointing when we take an animal that has an interesting pattern like the Dominion iguanodon, and then we give it frontier splotches when you customize it, and then it becomes bad, and you just want to use the film skin. Completely negates the point of the skin system. So hopefully, I don't think we've seen any evidence of these guys with anything other than the film skin, but hopefully they follow that. Also, wait, hold on. Having said that, this is either the case of the pattern being. Okay, I gotta check something. I'm gonna pause the recording. So what I just checked was the Steam page, right? The Steam page lists with the variants and the new skins, right? T-Rex Spino, Mosakets, Dilo Velociraptor. It doesn't say for the new species, Distortus Mutodon, Titanosaurus, and Aqualops, if they have separate film skins. So what I'm wondering now, is this a male and a female film skin? Or are these just the default pattern, and the male and the female have the same base color and the same pattern color to create the film skin? I don't think we actually know this, unless one of the YouTubers does. But as far as I know, that is unknown. Interesting. I think that's all I really have to say here. I mean, they look pretty good for what they are. All right, let's move on to the article. So this is a behind-the-scenes article crafting the JWE3 Rebirth expansion, so maybe a little bit of insight into some mechanics or the design process or something, or maybe it's just fluff. Who knows? I haven't read it. We're going to read it right now together. But I am very interested just generally in like game design stuff, so this interests me. Ever since Frontier made a special trip to see an opening night screening of Rebirth in 2025, we couldn't wait to get started on the expansion. Today's behind the scenes is a look at the process of how we brought this tyrannic new expansion to life, from concept to final product, in collaboration with Universal Pictures and Experiences. Oh, Universal Products and Experiences. Sorry. I saw Universal and I saw I saw P, and then my mind went Universal Pictures. And then I immediately read and Experiences, and I'm like, well, what the hell is that? No, it's Products and Experiences, like a division in Universal. Oh my god. Finding inspiration. Jurassic World Rebirth was action-packed, full of new dinosaurs. Was it though? Was it though? We got 2 actual new dinosaurs. Arguably 1. If you consider Titanosaurus to actually be a real dinosaur. And a brand new island, which gave us a fantastic base and plentiful opportunities for creating the JWE3 Rebirth expansion. We collected inspiration from a wide range of sources to start building a vision for this film expansion, including our exciting opening night trip. Starting with Rebirth, there are a few key moments in the film that stuck out as opportunities for developing game mechanics and narratives. One of these was the extensive geothermal power network shown across the island with its iconic winding pipes that lead to the main facility. Yeah, this is unironically become one of the main things I'm interested in this expansion. Like, I don't adore any of the animals, and I've been looking for things to spice up the management. I mean, my main concerns with the game management right now is just the utter imbalance in the economy. And a geothermal power network system is not going to fix that, but this is a new mechanic that does affect how you manage and build a park. And the geothermal power systems are iconic to the franchise in my mind because they come up quite a bit in the novels. Both the first and second novel, with the main park being powered by geothermal kind of being a bit of a throwaway thing. And then in the second book, it comes up a little bit more because it's the explanation for how there is still some functional facilities on Sorna. The geothermal power just kind of continues on. So I really like seeing this in the game as an actual distinctive game mechanic. I think it's great. Managing power is already a big part of JW3's campaign gameplay, so this gave us the opportunity to reassess the existing power system. We use the striking imagery to build a new system that evokes the world of the movie. We'll give players something new to manage as the island grows. And here we got a little shot of the geothermal power. Now, one thing that would be kind of fun would be So can we pause this? No, we can't. Okay, well when you see the building station, there's this pipe here. The way that pipe already exists and then the station appears, I think the pipe is decorative, separate from the building. And then when you're putting in the network pipes, those are all underground, it seems. I think it would be fun if you had the option to put in above ground piping. I think that would be cool. Um, which you could do it decoratively, but I think it would be fun if it did generate dynamically as an alternative to the power lines, just for parks where you want that industrial aesthetic, or like an Isla Sorna like novel build where you want a bunch of pipes snaking everywhere. I think that would be pretty fun. I understand them not doing it. I'm not gonna complain about them not doing it. It's fine. They've given us the tools to do it with the decorative pieces anyway. The secrecy surrounding Ile Saint Hubert, Saint Hubert, whatever. I can't do the pronunciation. Don't make me. And its Isle-wide facility was another core element of the film, became a focus for our development. Our narrative team relished the challenge of how we might create an original narrative within this timeline while maintaining the authenticity and mystery of the story from the film. I feel like this is a really gentle way of saying the narrative was very contrived and the existence of another island was very contrived, and so we're trying to cover that up. Setting the expansion before the dramatic opening of Rebirth gives players a chance to experience the facility working at full capacity before the chaos. It makes sense that this is how they would do it. It I was always skeptical about how well Rebirth would mesh with the game, and that's largely because I wasn't expecting them to just simply do a prequel, which is the easiest way to do something like this. Like something set in the contemporary timeline of the movie itself wasn't going to really work, and that makes sense. I'm glad they were able to at least do it that way. I am definitely much more interested in the storyline, the campaign, narrative, since it's a prequel, than I would be if it was like we got to go to the Rebirth Island and fix it and make it into a park. That would have been pretty lackluster. Driving the campaign forward is the theme of experimental technology and pioneering research being conducted on this secretive facility. The team uses this as an opportunity to continue and build upon their work with a nonlinear campaign structure from the JWE3 base game. I wonder if there's going to actually be any real evolution in that. We know there's some differences, like the economy carrying over between all the maps. That's not really that meaningful. I'm just curious to see if they do provide like an actual meaningful evolution of the non-linear multi-map gameplay, because like obviously the JW3 campaign is an improvement over JW2's mess, but the JW3 campaign doesn't really feel that different than like the JW1 campaign with the island hopping. There are mechanical differences, but it doesn't really feel like it's moved anything forward in a real meaningful way. And I don't really expect this to either. And it doesn't necessarily have to. I want to be clear on that. Like the campaign structure we have in JW3 is fine. It doesn't need to be redone and expanded. I'd be interested in seeing it, expanded upon, but it's not necessary. We wanted players to be able to choose the avenues of scientific work they'd explore as they help the facility grow and improve through the campaign. This resulted in concepts for the new assignments mechanic, letting players choose their objectives and directions as they played through the campaign. I'm very skeptical of this being called a new mechanic. So far, nothing has shown me what makes an assignment different than the existing, like, missions and stuff, right? Like, we got a screenshot here of the UI. Presumably this is an assignment. It's literally exactly the same as the existing, like, mission or contract UI or whatever you want to call it. It's just the same thing under a different label. The difference being that they're narratively consequential, but can still be done in any order and like mixed up and whatnot. Like that's not technically a new mechanic. That's just rebranding, because it like the way you get them is slightly different. Okay, I don't know. I mean, this seems cool having these non-linear like narrative contracts, but let's call them what they are, right? I just don't know why we've given them a new name. It feels like they're trying to oversell it. Anything else going on here? We got the Mutadon. Oh, look, the Mutadon needs wetland. Shocking. Every animal in this goddamn game needs wetland. I feel like, do we have any association in the film of the Mutadon with wetland? He's got a huge wetland need. Like, I think, okay, so we already have an aviary problem where the pterosaurs are all piscivores, which means every aviary is a giant lake to fit the big ass fish feeder. This would have been a good opportunity for the Mutadon to not require a wet aviary, to have a very arid one. I think that would have been fun to make it feel different. But instead, we got cover pasture and wetland. Oh, this confirms right here. Prey need. Mutadon is confirmed a carnivore, not a piscivore. The first aviary species that has a different diet. Like Quetzalcoatlus can hunt, of course, but doesn't require a prey feeder. This does. So yeah, Mutadon aviary does not need a fish feeder. That's a great confirmation to have. I was really hoping that this would be the case. I would love to see this expanded to other animals. I would love to see this as a change for the Azdarchids. I don't expect that to happen. I really wish it would. Maybe with the Kets, the new Kets. Have we ever had variants with different environmental needs? I feel like we might have. Like originally, like when they were introduced in JWE2. I don't know if that's true. But that could be an excuse if for whatever reason they don't want to change an existing animal's diet. They could make the Kets variant a prey need. But I would prefer if they changed the original one. Well, moving on. Finally, we want to take a look at some of the biggest requests from the community and opportunities for realizing these within the expansion. When building a picture of the kind of work being done by researchers and scientists on Ile Saint-Hubert, impressive breakthroughs for containing certain uniquely challenging species only made sense. We know more flexibility with aviaries has been a request from our community. Come on. It has been a left behind feature at the launch of the game. To call it just simply a request from the community implies that what we already had in the game was anything, and it wasn't. We had literally directly ported from JWE2 aviaries that did not interact in any meaningful way with the terrain tools, which were a core feature of the game. It's a little disingenuous to just say this is a community request versus making up for a feature that was lacking in the game launch. Open air aviaries, on the other hand, you could call a community request. But the terrain tool, the flexibility thing, come on. Along with some other improvements, were conceived to deliver a new enclosure type for players. Also feels a little... it is technically a new enclosure type. I mean, fair enough. And there's a shot of it being built up, of course, from the circles. I do wish we had the opportunity in this game to not just combine these little, circles together to make a bigger aviary. I wish we could just scale the size of the circle. I wish we could just make a perfectly circular large aviary, and it really annoys me that we can't do that. It makes Jurassic World recreations feel a little off. Yeah, if we just had, honestly, just like a second aviary size that was like 4 times as big. If you could just take one this size but make it circular. I suppose that would, scale the size of the dome, theoretically. So if it was a domed aviary, that would require extra steps. But with this non-domed aviary, there's no reason this can't be circular beyond just taking, whatever time it takes to upscale the single circle model up to the size of like 4 domes. Because these actually function more conically, right? They announced this we covered this in one of the videos. You can build higher and lower if you use this aviary type. And the pterosaurs can fly higher into the air inside this aviary. And what this means is probably internally, instead of it being a dome shape, it's probably like a beer can shape, like a cylinder, right? That you're combining to get that higher elevation. So if it's a cylinder, and the fact that there's nothing rendered in the top part, it should be relatively trivial to make this be truly circular. And I really wish it was. Creating cinematic moments. After condensing all our different ideas into a solid game plan, we turned our attention to fully fleshing out the new and improved features we'll be seeing in the Rebirth expansion. Backbone of this expansion is the new assignment system. Again, what is different about this beyond how you get the contracts? Allowing players to take control with a flexible campaign structure. I mean, maybe it's more impactful when you're actually playing it hands-on, right? Maybe it seems very samey because we're only seeing it in bits and pieces through the traditional UI. Maybe when you actually get your hands on this, it actually is, there's maybe more to it and it feels more interesting. I don't know. Priority assignments drive the campaign forward, while standard assignments allow players to explore different projects while unlocking new genomes, research opportunities, experiment traits, and even more advanced assignments. Players can choose to simply stick to the basics, following the flow of the narrative as a new recruit at Ile Saint Hubert, or they could dive down a rabbit hole task, completing any and all assignments. One thing I'll be interested about is the one thing with the non-linearity in JWE3's campaign, and more so JWE1's campaign, was that the non-linearity was really not there, because there was really kind of an optimal route to do in most cases. A very clear, like, you do this park, then this park, then this park. JW3 had more opportunities to bounce around between the different parks, but there was very little reason to do so. There was not really, like, generally speaking, it was kind of just optimal to finish a park and move to the next one. And there was, I believe, if I remember correctly, with how Malta was structured, the Malta DLC for JW2, that had much more of a reason to bounce between islands. And they could do that again here, having us bounce between the different maps on the island, by having these interconnected story beats that motivate us moving back and forth. And hopefully they do that. It would make it feel a little bit different structurally than the base game standard campaign. We got a little screenshot. I think we've seen this one before, the helicopter flying over the dam. I'm almost certain this screenshot here was recycled. This is not anything new. Making this super flexible structure a reality did prove to be somewhat of a challenge for the team, inspired by the quest type structure of other games. We wanted to give players control over how they would manage their own secret facility. However, this meant we had to consider how we'd show these potential tasks. Okay, we're going to get more on assignments. Maybe they could convince me here. In a way that wouldn't be overwhelming or disrupt the flow of the game. Taking inspiration from quest type structures of like MMOs is a choice. It's interesting. To navigate this, we chose to present the assignment task in a few key places in the UI, showing players active assignments in the corner of the screen with its subtasks, while the larger list of assignments is available to browse in the wider facility menu. Okay, so it is its own submenu. That kind of makes sense then. Like, if it's got a dedicated tab on the UI, it does make sense for this to be called something else. That's fair. Okay, they brought me around a little bit. I'm getting there. To navigate this, yeah, we said this. This allows players to focus on the task at hand while giving them the option to look at the other tasks they might want to take on at their own speed. Okay, so yeah, they are literally like MMO quests, like start assignment, you get your rewards. Okay, and there's more here maybe than I expected. Okay, yeah, I mean, this looks like this is the start of the game, maybe, and they're starting with 4 priority, like this is a basic unlock staff center type priority thing, and then we got a little subset here of different ones. Oh, that are gated behind completing previous ones. Worker satisfaction. Okay, so I think this is the prereq here, right? These 3 unlock once you open the main facility. You can do these 3 in any order. Worker satisfaction basically unlocks your standard assignments. And then this one here is specifically gated behind one of the ones that unlocks from that. And then this is also gated behind worker satisfaction. So I think... So it seems like you can do these 3 in any order, but worker satisfaction is the one that has to be done to open up more of the game. I'm seeing how it works. I get it. 38% maintenance. Oofda. You get there. 38%. But also already 1 star if they just open the park. That's fine. Another consideration for the team was the need to have contingencies in place for the assignments. For example, what if a player had diligently built a new open air aviary, but then the species had escaped and it was needed for an assignment later? To counter this, the team built in additional starting stages to ensure players had all the right conditions to complete the assignment, such as needing a particular species to be synthesized before beginning their tasks. We had to build these what ifs into this new feature to ensure players could continue to progress with their innovative research. Although chaos is inevitable and we can't guarantee there won't be some hurdles players will have to face as they round the island. Okay. Interesting. I'm coming around on it. I could see why they renamed it. It makes sense. I rescind my comments of how is this different than missions. All right, delivering the vision. I mean, honestly, just having like seeing them ahead of time and being able to like plan out a route, it makes it different. Anyway, delivering the vision. Was this like a schematic of one of the maps? Response facility control center, Hyperloop station arrival point. Yeah, this is like, I think this is just essentially it's a topographical map and it's them planning out the map design. Yeah, starting area or then expanded area. So this is you unlock the expanded area later type thing. This is the dam here, I guess. Oh, this is the river, because this is like where you look here past like the dam. Well, maybe I presume it's the river. Interesting that we got like these separate building areas kind of connected by this like decorative element. This is path. I wonder if, so this, interesting. This might be, I can't tell if the dotted line crosses this little like bridge element. Very interesting. I'm very curious about this. And there's one, oh, this one you could definitely tell. Yeah, okay, so the buildable area does have this little sliver that connects these areas across those bridges. I think these are fake bridges. These are Frontier essentially cheating a bridge into the game across the river, which is really telling because it really highlights the bridge problem in this game, huh? But they literally basically had a map where they wanted to have a bridge and they couldn't do it and they had to kind of cheat. Fascinating. Well, I'm sure we'll look at it later when we get the game in our hands, and we'll know for sure if they actually did cheat this bridge, but I'm pretty sure that's what's happening here. Developing the story of the campaign itself initially seemed like it might be a challenge due to the secrecy around the island. Yeah, again, you mean how contrived nature of this island and its experimental inhabitants. However, the team saw this as a positive and were really excited by how we might create an original narrative within the timeline as a companion of what we knew of the island from Rebirth. We focused on creating cinematic moments in the spirit of the film. We also want to develop an engaging story of scientific camaraderie as they explore and push the boundaries on nature with new tools and features. Wanted players to really feel a part of the team on the island. Some scientific camaraderie in the mad science island? Sure, I guess. Even mad scientists need friends. Okay, so I guess this is another map. This is, okay, no terrain editing in the river, but it is part of the map properly. So you can run like hyperloops underneath, stuff like that, maybe monorail over to cross the two sides. Starting with, I guess, a T-Rex pen. Well, it just says generically dinosaur. This is probably the Titanosaur map, right? This must be just showing like pipes, this like white, right? This little like square is not really labeled. Facility lab area. Oh, this is going to be... This is... Okay, so this is like Titanosaur Valley, right? And then we've got this like gray sector. That might be the only buildable area. And then the white is the playable area. And then you just can't delete the river. Is basically the idea here. So you've got this open area where you can probably build defenses like we do for those like tour areas in the campaign and stuff like that. So you can build fences here to contain things, but you just can't build buildings. This has to stay primordial. Okay. Oh, and there's like deep water and shallow water. So so they're giving us kind of dividing line with deep water here, right? Between the two sectors of the map in case you need two separate like herbivore areas. I like that. I like that they're kind of using what the terrain tools of the game give them to create this naturalistic divider between like the two areas. I assume that's what this is. To shape the story of Ile Saint Hubert before the inevitable chaos of the film, we really wanted the levels to feel authentic to the setting. The team spent a lot of time going through shots of the film to align the maps to their locations. Look at all little details that would make it recognizable while still functional within the game. Hopefully that means we have a longer like elephant grass on this map. That would be an interesting brush to have in general. Don't go into the long grass. We wanted key areas and buildings like staff and research centers to be coherent with the visual language of the base game, but not look out of place on the island. The look for each building was considered and received a revamp, seamlessly blending them in with the utilitarian concrete and pipes of the main facility, while still maintaining an easily recognizable appearance. Yeah, the building set's going to definitely feel like just a utilitarian lab, which is fun. Wait, is this the Titanosaur Valley? Because these are Titanosaur icons. Is this the main facility? This is the river? Because, I mean, they both have rivers running through them, but this is the one that's more explicitly a river. This is Titanosaur Valley. This is not the valley. This is the valley, 100%. Because this doesn't have any substantial water and has all these, like, obvious hills. Yeah, okay. Okay, elevation low to high, starting area, safari area. This is a safari. Wait, so this is a safari park. So what was this? I guess this wasn't a safari? What is the difference? I'm confused. Maybe this... Oh, maybe this facility lab area? Maybe this is just like... There's like a slab of concrete here that's part of the map that you can build on. Maybe that's what this is? It's not that this is the only area you can build. It's that this is an area that has a unique terrain to it because it's this facility lab area. Kind of like how this is outlined here in gray, where this like dam is. Yeah, I think this is the main facility. This is the river. This is the Titanosaur Valley. Okay. We cracked the code. That's literally in the key on the images. Yeah, so... Oh, and this one does label the pipelines. So yeah, okay. Makes sense. We got a dinosaur herd of Titanosaurs. And then we've got... yeah, buildable areas tucked in the three corners. Or four corners, I guess. With this. Interesting. Why is this... Is this like a... This like gate? Maybe this is just a like a fence piece that's just kind of containing the valley to make it feel like you can go off in the distance. Oh yeah, because this one's not outlined as buildable either. Yeah, so starting area is this with two buildable sectors, and then I guess the north and the south are just closed off like with a fence or something to make this feel like it's still a continuous valley. Either that or they're not showing the expansion areas. That could be the case too. Once we had these core features and we nailed the Jurassic World Rebirth look, all that was left was a small task of adding the dinosaurs. We'll be going into more detail of how the team went about making the new species from the movie screen to your monitor soon. Will they address the Neuronathus in the room? Probably not. So yeah, this is the river facility. Do we see the dam here? No. There's not really like concrete here. Because, oh man, it's so confusing. We had, because this is different than the big dam, because there's not a water level up above and below this. So this was the river. Like this was specifically named as the river when we first saw the screenshot, right? And the dam one is much more explicit, which is what this is. So maybe like this little part here where the water color level changes, maybe that's it. And we're looking at it from the top down. I don't know. Wish list the expansion. Why? I'm just gonna buy it anyway. From start to finish, the Rebirth expansion was created from the love of the Jurassic franchise, with the development teams working together to deliver new mechanics, familiar screen sights, and fantastic cinematic moments. Take control of the top secret facility, come face to face with the consequences of experimenting with the natural order. That is the franchise, my guy. Wish list on Steam and Epic. All right. So that is it for the new information today. I really like seeing these little like topographic maps. They're really fun. A great way to preview a map. Um, there was some interesting things in here. I enjoyed this article. I had a few little snarky bits, but it was nice to see some of this, especially the maps, and getting confirmation that the Mutodon is a carnivore, and like convincing me that the assignment system is actually something relevant. So yeah, good article. All right, well, till next time.